Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin Show. It is your Tuesday edition, Taco Tuesday, your second show of the week, and there will only be 3 shows this week. A reminder, we will not be doing a show Thursday, Friday, as I will be off to the city of sin. Well, at least that's what the plan is for right now. Man, what a day out there today. This is the tough part about trading is some of the trades you make, they turn out well, but when you look in hindsight, would have been even better. I'll talk about CoreWeave. I'll talk about UnitedHealth. As you guys know, I have call options against my position, which I'm going to have to look way down there now to see where my strike price was. Long ways below. So good day out there for tech. You saw markets today, not even like a huge up day for the equity markets, but all in all, a good day. Let's start things off with the Apple event. I was kind of poo-pooing on this one a while back because, look, unless Apple unveils something that's so revolutionary, that's so brand new or like just groundbreaking, what are they really going to introduce? Well, we had our event today. So let's talk a little bit about what some of the cool innovations are, the legendary stuff, the amazing pieces that they released. And I'll start here at the top. Their latest products, as they were touting them today, and I did watch the summary of it, didn't watch the whole thing. AirPod Pro 2. Okay, wow. So one of your flagship products is the AirPod Pro 2. It has better sound. In Italian, we have a phrase for that, and I guess I have to say that because my friend Nick is here. It goes, ma chi se ne frega. That means you have to do your hand like this too. Ma chi se ne frega. I mean, like, who's going to care? A new iPod or AirPod Pro? The AirPods that came out earlier this year, they already have the coolest feature, which is they can translate for you. So you can, if you have the Apple Intelligence 19 update, you can actually have your AirPods and translate for you, which I think is pretty amazing. That is a really cool feature. Like if I did a lot of international travel to places that I don't speak the language, like Beijing or something like that, I might actually grab a pair of those AirPods just because it translates for you, which I think is pretty cool. But is it that revolutionary? Not enough to all of a sudden add billions of dollars to your bottom line. Yeah, Oliver says the live translation is good. Yeah, that's good to know. Again, I wouldn't spend, $300 for a set of earphones, but if it did translate in different languages, like if, for example, one of my favorite places on the planet is Thailand, and I'm really debating going in late November, early December. I may go now that I am unburdened, unshackled. I may take off and do that. I'll let you guys know how that pans out. But if I do, it'll probably be around the first week of December, and maybe I'll buy a pair for that because I would like to hear what they're actually saying in those different countries, if it's actually that good at real time. Pretty cool. Marcus says, do I speak Italian? Adesso imparo un po' l'italiano, però ho dimenticato quasi tutto, l'ho imparato quando ho lavorato in Italia. So, yeah, I still speak a little bit, but I lost most of it when I've been back here in the States and haven't spoken it for years. So it's kind of fun having my friend Nick in town because I get to speak a little bit of Italian, but it's pretty rusty. Lisa says, Samsung translates for me, or I have an app that does that. That's pretty cool. I have not done any of the translation services, and I would imagine that they're getting better and better and better and better and better. Things are always looking up, Big Eb. And yesterday's encounter was actually not atrociously bad. It was actually a good encounter, so we'll see. All right, next on the list. We're talking about Apple. It's like my personal life needs to get out of here. Lisa wants to go for New Year's Eve, huh? That might be part of the plan. My friend apparently has a penthouse suite in downtown Bangkok for New Year's Eve, and that might be part of my plan. Okay, Apple Watch 11. Now, I don't know where you guys stand on this issue. Maybe you're different than me. I've got an Apple Watch, and I'll admit I hated it when I first got it. I didn't like it because I just don't like watches. I don't like jewelry. I don't like anything like that. But it's been great, especially with my ex. We would compete. We'd do challenges on it. Now I compete with other friends. It's great to track how many calories. And it's awesome. I really, really like that a lot. But I think I don't need a new one. It doesn't have such amazing features that I need to get a brand new one. So, for me, I'm not going to be upgrading my watch. That's for sure. But there's more watches. There's the Apple Watch SE3, and then they come out with the Apple Watch Ultra, which has, better scratch resistance and things like that. And Steve says the Garmin is a better watch. Here's the issue, though. The Garmin doesn't link up to your phone and all these calendars and everything. That really is where these guys gets the benefit of the doubt for me. And I know that we have some Samsung people here that have the watches as well. I just love that this connects to everything. I mean, I can use it as a phone. I can track my heart rate and all my workout calories. I can do everything from my watch. I like that it all links up. That to me is one of the only reasons I have it, because I have an iPhone. Maybe at some point I'll see, Samsung products get better or whatever, and maybe I'll move over. I have no real loyalty with that one for now. So on that topic, certainly I'm not going to be getting a new watch unless this one breaks, which it could happen. Just wear 2 watches? Not for me. It's bad enough I wear one. And it's funny, guys, because, I live out here in Southern California, and I try not to go out in the sun. You guys, I've told you this before, but I have vitiligo. I know you can't really see it, but you can see my fingertips, right? It's focusing. There it is, focusing on my fingertips. You guys can see those white lines on my fingertips there. It's actually been growing, which is not a good sign. That's vitiligo, which is lack of pigmentation in my hands. Hendrik says, is it him or the live stream keep cutting out audio? Should be fine today. I'm running a very good frame rate today. I did a speed test. I try to do a speed test before every show. So Hendrik, just maybe do a refresh on your computer. No, this is ever since I've been kind of single now, I've just been out in the sun a lot more, and this is embarrassing. But look at that tan line, my watch tan line. We got to get rid of that thing. So yeah, no more watches for me. This will be the last one, and maybe I'll upgrade if this thing dies. But I do like it. All right, let's go to the other stuff. An Apple iPhone 17. Who cares? The audio's not in sync, huh? Very interesting. So we have multiple people saying that the audio is off today, huh? Interesting. I don't see anything on my... That's a strange one. Not sure why that's happening. Cutting in and out. My audio doesn't match. Great. Well, let me do a quick speed test here. Since all of you are having issues, mine is just synced with your mouth moving like fun. Oh, great. Well, it shouldn't be that way, And again, when I start the show, I always do a speed test, and as you can see here, running at 360 is a pretty good clip for. Okay, cool. Yeah, just refresh everybody that's having issues, but speed looks good to me. All right, so I'm not going to buy a new iPhone either. Now, maybe, since this one's a little bit old, I'm having a problem with the charger. It doesn't charge with the normal plug piece. It does with the back part, but I may have to upgrade now just for that. But I'm probably not going to go to the 17. I'll probably go to the cheaper one, which would be the 16. But again, this is where the iPhone addicts, the Apple addicts, will buy all the new stuff. And I just don't see myself buying any of these. Maybe if I get a free upgrade, I'll upgrade to the iPhone 16, but I'm not going to go to the brand new stuff. It just doesn't have any features that I really need. And then finally, the iPhone Air. Now, I don't know if you saw this one. I didn't take any pictures of it, but it's so unbelievably thin. And I remember when the iPhone came out a couple years back, they were talking about how you could sit on your phone. If it was in your back pocket and you sat on it, it would just bend it because it's so thin. Well, this iPhone Air is even thinner. Now, hopefully they've made it with better material so it won't cave in like the iPhones did originally. But, it's lighter, same dimensions, but just really, really light. I don't care. Do people really care that much to spend that much money? So the reason I bring it up like this is I don't see anything on this list that you go, wow, Apple knocked it out of the park. Man, they just released some cool new features. Kind of like, meh. Right? I don't think that there was anything here that really said, good job, Apple. So we talked about maybe shorting it, and I guess you look at this one here today, we might see that gap close. Based off what I saw, I don't see this being a rush. Remember last year, we had the Apple Intelligence being added to phones, right? And I thought that would be a big catalyst for price. It actually ended up being a catalyst for price, but it wasn't, at least that was something revolutionary. Now it's like, yeah, as Andy puts, meh. Like, whatever. I just don't see this being a catalyst for Apple. So anybody who's long Apple, I do anticipate this gap closing. And I'll put a line on the screen here so we can see exactly what that number is. Is that a red candle, a green candle? It's green. I'll do it from the top of the gap. I'll call that $229.72. So $229.72 looks like where this thing is headed to. And we're currently at $233. So that's only $4 away. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that gap should close. And if that does happen, keep your eye on these other levels over here. So there are some unfilled gaps as well. The main one here goes back to August 6th of this year, which is at 213. And again, Apple's fine and all, but if they don't really sell a lot of these products, which I can't imagine that they would, right? None of this stuff looked that amazing to me. The only thing that was really kind of new was the iPhone Air. And you say Apple Robot Watch, something happened. I don't know about Apple Robot. I would upgrade if they could actually get Siri to work. I always have issues with Siri too. Michael says, this is for anybody. Should I go see Hamilton? I've heard great things about it, but not really a theater guy myself. Big F says, I got the iPhone 16 Pro, great phone that didn't cost me anything except another 3 years of Verizon. Right, and that's probably what I'm going to do, Big Eb. I think I've had this one for 2 years now. I think mine's a 15, and I will probably upgrade to the 16, or whichever one is going to get me the best, easiest. I'm gonna have the phone service anyway, so probably get whatever they give me for free. I'm not the type that's going to go spend a bunch of money on my devices at all. Let's see, general. I think I got a 15. It's a 14 Pro. I got 3 generations to upgrade. Gomez says, hoping for some smart glass. Yeah, smart glass. Now, one of the things that they were talking a lot about at the event was this new ceramic coating, which makes it much stronger, much more scratch resistant. And maybe that is something that is great, but I just don't see these products propelling Apple significantly higher, right? I mean, you're going to get the fans, and no matter what, are going to buy it. But I don't know. I personally think this is going to be a turning point for Apple where people they really didn't do much. Wait till the Trump phone comes out. I'm probably going to pass on that one, Steven. Not really my cup of tea there, but hey, to each their own, right? There is a Solana phone, which is a crypto-based phone, but look, it is as excited as I am about cryptocurrency and digital assets. Probably don't want to have a Solana phone, right? Go with the big names. I'm either going to be Samsung or it's going to be Apple. That's pretty much it for me. All right, so for me, that was a wah-wah kind of event. Again, I think Apple's headed down here. I think you're going to see profit taking over the next couple of weeks. Elon replace Cook at Apple. That would be huge. Would it? It's a tough one, Andy. So we all think that Elon Musk is infallible, that he can do no wrong, that whatever he does turns to gold, like he's got some Midas touch. And I think that's a wrong perception. It's got to be something that he's really skilled at and gifted at and has ideas about, right? So I think one thing that separates Musk is he's more of a visionary that gets people to build everything for him, right? He didn't build the Tesla. He didn't build SpaceX. He got the company, and he had all these great ideas, and he got the right engineers and said, make it happen, make it happen. And certainly he's part of the engineering staff. But would he turn Apple around? Not turn it around, excuse me. But could he take Apple and just accelerate it? I don't know. I think Tim Cook's doing pretty good. I think Tim Cook is doing a pretty good job there. Just a little disappointing that they didn't come out with something really revolutionary with more AI features and functionality, but I thought it was rather lackluster what they released. Okay, let's go into my pain. Not the 49ers. Oh, and unless you're talking about Jake Moody, what a horrible weekend that was. Terrible. Let's talk about, you guys ready to just have the dagger wound in my chest? 2 times today, by the way. We'll start things off with UnitedHealth. So UnitedHealth, UNH, as you guys know, I am long UNH. My average price is significantly lower, so I'm very happy about my UNH because I've been selling calls against it. But UNH, we were talking about the chart pattern starting to look really good. And you can see that it was basing here. I know the podcasters, you can't see this. But it was basing from basically August 15th all the way through September 4th. Really just going sideways. And over the last 4 days, it started to move up. It broke above those highs yesterday. That was a pretty good looking pattern right there. And we talked about that one looking kind of bad. And all of a sudden, huge move up today. $27 move to the upside for UnitedHealth. That was an 8.64% pop. And of course, I have the 327.50 calls against my position. I thought for sure we'd close below 327.50. And all of a sudden, big news today. Now, the news was that 78% of their Medicare Advantage members are locked into, 4-star and 5-star plans, which basically means the money's coming in. The money will continue to come in. And I'm pretty sure this is why Warren Buffett was loading the boat, because he knew all this stuff happened before. So just in the past couple days, Warren Buffett's made quite a bit of money. Steven says still holding quite a bit of UNH, finally green. Yeah, what was my average price? Let me go to... so here's my average price with the options counted in. Oops, no, that's there's my average price. So my average price for UNH with my options calculated in, $259.71. So, ultimately what's going to happen, I'm going to put it over here and show you those numbers, guys, just because this is $259.71. Again, this is with the options premium calculated in. That's a $70 gain on UnitedHealth for me, and I've got 600 shares of it, so not a bad one. And again, we don't know if we're done yet, right? This is where you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, because Could this come crashing back down tomorrow and, by Friday close below 327.50? It certainly could. But right now it feels like the momentum is there and this thing looks good. Hendrick says, is it still worth buying UNH? Look, I think that a lot of euphoria right now needs to be weaned out of the system. So I actually would expect it to sell off a little bit tomorrow. But in the grand scheme of things, I put this as a company as too big to fail, right? I think it's too big to fail. I don't think the government will let this one go down. And if we go back to its all-time highs back here in November of last year, if I can get it to that exact point, come on, there we go. From where we fell to where we are today as of close, it's still down 44%. I mean, that's a pretty significant decline still. So I do think it's still a buy. I'd be a little apprehensive about trying to buy it right now because it had obviously an 8%, almost 9% up day. But if you're thinking long-term investor, I do think UnitedHealth Group is probably a long-term hold, especially when Warren Buffett comes in there and buys $5 billion worth. And I see Toby says it's over its 100-day moving average. I mean, look, we could put moving averages on here if you want, and we could throw it through all sorts of different ones. Obviously, it's well above the shorter term. You're talking about the 100. We'll modify that one. It's above it, but the 100-period moving average is still aggressively down, right? Aggressively down. And Margaret says, follow the money, Buffett. Absolutely. Luckily, I got in the day before Buffett made that announcement. And that was just pure speculation. I mean, I don't think I could have been more fortunate with luck. That was not a skill trade. That was a luck trade. And I've been selling calls against it every week to lower my cost basis and generate some premium because I didn't think we'd get a big jump like this, right? When I look at UnitedHealth, on the way up, I did not expect to see giant gap and goes like we saw today. I expect it to, slowly keep on building and work its way back up there. And honestly, I hope that it drops back down because I would love to keep my UnitedHealth. I'll have to make that decision on Friday. We'll see where I am in my travels. I may actually buy back those calls. Obviously, buy back those calls for a loss and keep my UnitedHealth can sell more calls higher up. Well, we'll see. Just roll it into a different one. Unfortunately, those calls that I sold are obviously extremely expensive right now to buy back. So that was UnitedHealth, big day there. And then you had another really interesting piece of news. As this AI race continues, I can buy more shares, certainly. As this AI race continues and more companies are scrambling to get a competitive advantage, there was an interesting deal today between Microsoft and I think it's called Nebius. And basically it's about AI. And I'll show you Nebius. Well, let's look at Microsoft first. So here's MSFT. So Microsoft, as we all know, one of the big leaders in the space of AI. No big change, no big surprise there. But Nebius is one of these basically AI infrastructure and capacity, right? Farms and things like that. They did a huge deal. I think it was $17 billion deal just for AI infrastructure capacity with Microsoft. And if you look at Nebius, which is NBIS, monster day. Jumped 49.5% today, and that's even off of its high. Yesterday on the close, I think it was about $64. Today, $95, and it's currently at $96.80 in the after-hour session. So Nebius just screaming. Now, why did CoreWeave, why did Iran, why did TeraWulf all do so well? Because they're in that space, right? Henrik says, I'm glad. Wow, good for you, my friend. He says it's been there since January 2025. Attaboy, you're loving it today. Christmas came early for you. Will compete with NVIDIA? It's certainly could take some of that market share away, right? A little bit of it. NVIDIA still is the king of kings. But, I am, of course, I'm in CRWV, which has been kind of stuck down here going sideways, and I did not expect there to be a big move this week. I thought we'd see it just kind of slowly bounce around. Therefore, I sold those $96 strike. Let me make sure I update on the screen here. I sold the $96 calls against my position, and today it vaulted 7%. It's up another 6% in the after-hour session. So I'm probably going to have my shares of CoreWeave taken away, which didn't really want that one to happen. That'll actually end up being a loss for me. So I'm down. I'd be down $2.25 based off all the premium I collected. So that'd be a $2,500 loss on CoreWeave even after all this. So we'll see. So CoreWeave, big. Nebius is a much smaller one, Steven. So we know CoreWeave because NVIDIA is jumping on CoreWeave, right? NVIDIA is an investor in CoreWeave. But there's also two other companies that if you are looking for that type of space, one was Iran. They also had a great day today. They were up 15%, up another 3% in an after-hour session. That's Iran Limited. And then TeraWulf, which is WULF. These are all companies in that same space. Wolf was up 11, I'll call it 12% today, and another 4% in the after-hour session. So these companies are on fire right now, and this one's going to sting. The CoreWeave one's going to sting because I'm going to end up probably taking a loss in this position, and it was right back up where I bought it, right? So that's going to be a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Well, again, we're not done yet. This thing could easily drop back down to 96 by Friday, but the fact that it's up another 6% in the after-hour session, man, I don't know. What else did we have? So that was your kind of tech. Steven said, I'll be glad if it's taken away from me at CoreWeave. Not a big believer just because the chart is trash. Yeah, well, I do like what I do like that NVIDIA bought into them. And I mentioned this the other day, that I think NVIDIA has such a monstrous competitive advantage when it sees new companies, startups, because these startups are trying to buy NVIDIA's chips because they're the best. So when the reps, let's say I'm a rep for NVIDIA and I go to, CoreWeave and I check it out and they say, hey, we need all these servers and we're doing this and this and this is our target, our project. I'm the rep. I know their business intimately now. I'm going to go back to Jensen Huang and the suite of C team at NVIDIA and say, hey, listen, you guys should check out this company. Here's what they're doing. Perfectly symbiotic with us. They're using our products, and big time advantage for NVIDIA. It's almost like insider trading. To me, I feel like NVIDIA even has its Midas touch, right? Where if it sees a really good prospect for AI applications going forward for some startup, they can be one of the first ones to be investors in that because they know. I did look at Oracle. We'll check that here in just a second. I may roll those calls, Mick. I may. We'll see what happens. Don, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well over there. Sounds like things are going good for you. And our Chiefs and my Niners are tied, 1-0. We'll beat you this year, bud. Down go the Chiefs. Down go the Chiefs. All right, so yeah, I didn't look at the numbers on Oracle, but let's just bring up ORCL here for you, which was surging monstrously in after-hour session, 27% as we speak right now. I'll bring up that chart for you. They came out with earnings, believe it or not, that missed. They missed by a penny. They're supposed to come out with $1.48. They were supposed to come out $1.48, came out $1.47. But they made really positive comments about their cloud storage and cloud. Basically, that's where the money's at. Interestingly enough, Amazon was all about that cloud storage years ago, and that's helped vault them. But now Oracle and all these other companies getting much deeper into it. So yeah, you're up monstrous in the after-hour session. I'm going to put a line right across where we are right now, which is 306, literally off the chart. I'll put that up here so you guys can see that bad boy. And then I'm going to just roll out here and see, yeah, we're way past all-time highs. Larry Ellison's got to be loving it. Go buy another island, Larry. Raking it in. Raking it in. Hate's a strong word, Steven. Strong word. Don Front says, I love NVIDIA management team. I almost always copy. As you should, man. Like I say, how can they make the wrong decision when they literally can see these businesses before you and I even know about them? It's amazing. Amazing. Damn you, Don. We have to make another bet on this one. It's tough because I'm probably going to lose, but dang it. Dang it. All right. So, yeah, Oracle coming out with real good positive comments about their server farms and cloud. Great. I mean, 27%. I don't own Oracle. Unfortunately, Oracle is not that heavy of a weighted piece of the NASDAQ or the S&P, so it's not going to have a dramatic impact on the markets. But I think what you saw today, when you look at what happened with Nebius and CoreWeave and IREN and TeraWolf and Oracle, it just further solidifies the importance of AI, the dominance of AI companies and tech going forward, which has been the catalyst for our markets, right? That's really what's been driving this whole damn thing. And I think you're going to see this NASDAQ break out and move to all-time highs here as that optimism, not just from Nebius, which is a smaller company, or CoreWeave, which is a little bit bigger, IREN and TeraWolf, but Oracle. Right? If some of the biggest names in the businesses are crushing it with cloud storage and basically think of AI going forward, I don't see why this market would sell off. I think it's pretty damn strong right now. Got to be bullish. I mean, that chart right there speaks volumes too, right? Technically, if you want to look at this from a pattern perspective, we could go right here was most points of contact. Yes, it did break above it, but there's most points of contact. And then I will draw a line across the bottom here. And essentially, you have an ascending triangle, which shows you higher lows and same highs. Once that thing closes above, let's say, call it 23,946, Probably want to go to the all-time highs before it breaks the all-time high, which is right around there. Let me bring this down for you guys. Right around 24,000. We get about 24,000. Man, I think NASDAQ could have a big break to the upside here. Just fueled by AI optimism and tech. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we had everybody talking about how the AI segment is dropping. Not looking so good. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of negative speculation about AI and overspending and things like that, which I do believe will come. I do believe there's going to come a watershed moment where people have spent way too much money on infrastructure, like I mentioned with Microsoft, how much of their CapEx goes directly to NVIDIA. It would probably be in their best interest to start to spread that around to different companies so that they don't rely exclusively on NVIDIA. All right, what do we got here? Robinhood has sports better on it. Watching my friend melt down over the Bills. Oh, man, that Bills-Ravens game was great. That Bills-Ravens game was so good. It's really good, especially because I'm a Bills fan. If I have to pick one team other than the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl and win it all, it's going to be the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I like the team. I like the coach. So, yeah, that was a great game to watch. Let's see. To offset those giant pops, look at Synopsys after it recorded tonight. That's when I looked at it last time. I was down 540. SNPS, huh? Let's go SNPS. So, wow, down $100 per share. Man, thanks for the opposite side of the coin here. We've got some winners and we got some big losers. I didn't see that Synopsys was down that much. So they reported earnings today. It looks like they missed significantly. They missed by 41 cents. Wanted to make 380, came out at 339, and suffering down 17% in after hours. Here's your 5-minute chart of that one. Man, this is popcorn trade of the day type stuff here. We've got huge movers today. Absolutely love it. Not if you're a Synopsys owner, but I'm a big fan. Let's see where it's coming down to. It's not really coming in any strong levels that would make me optimistic about buying there. If it opens up tomorrow right around 470, I might jump on it. And we're pretty close. We're about $20 away, almost $30 away from 470. If I go down to 470, I might sell some puts there and take a stab at it. I love when people panic and oversell things like that. Raiders, Thomasina, come on, Thomasina. What are you talking about? Get the Raiders. Everybody needs a team to laugh at. It's okay. It's all right. We'll let you have your Raiders moment. What are we at here? Wow. All right, let me run through our top 8. We'll talk about. Oh, by the way, I didn't see. You see the latest jobs revision, and I didn't. It's on the different computer. I took a bunch of images downstairs when I was working on the show today, and the revision for jobs data, bad. Really bad. One of the biggest revisions we've seen in a long time. And unfortunately, it's not going to show up here on this calendar. But I'll bring that one up for you guys tomorrow. Really is a bad number with regards to revision. It showed 22,000 job creations, which was so far below expectations, which fuels the fire for Jerome Powell's rate cut decision, which will most likely happen. I'll go check the new FOMC or the Fed funds futures right now. Right now, it's probably in the 90-something%, 99, 93. So I'll round it up to 94% chance we're going to get a rate cut. So nobody thinks rates are going to stay the same. I'm going to hold my judgment until tomorrow when we get our PPI number. As you guys know, tomorrow that PPI number is expected to come out at 0.3. We had this giant one-off 0.9 spike. I'd be willing to bet you that if we got a 0.5 tomorrow on PPI, which would be significantly higher than the 0.3 expectation, that this number right here will all of a sudden switch back, and there's now going to be a probability that rates will stay the same. Luis says, stagflation coming. This is probably one of the bigger concerns, all right? We've talked about this actually for the past couple of years. And Bill Addis has pointed out that's one of the reasons he's really concerned. We do have what looks like a deteriorating job market, right? And we understand why. It's for many different reasons, but number one is we are in a really big bullish market, and when people get worried about recessions, they trim the fat. They get rid of employees, so you're seeing a lot of layoffs. Number two is we'll see some of those federal Doge cuts finally hit the books, right? And then you're going to see also a lot of AI job replacement. That I think is going to be the biggest piece over the next 5 years will be how AI replaces and displaces robotics as well, displaces jobs. So we could start to see unemployment become unruly. Well, that's fine by itself. But if we start to see inflation surge, then what do you do? Because you can't cut rates to stimulate the job market because you'll raise inflation. And you can't raise the rates to fight inflation because you'll crush the job market. So it really just like, man, it's a Catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now remember, the third component is GDP. So let me see if I can find the most recent GDP number here with a filter. I forgot when it actually comes out. Usually I remember all those dates, but I'm just going to go here and go to growth, which would be GDP. And let's see, what week is that coming out? Remember, we have the preliminary, the advanced. So our final GDP number should be coming out Thursday, the 25th. And the good news is we did have 1 point of contraction. It was below zero, right? Our most recent reading here for final GDP was below. But the previous numbers, the revised and the preliminary, have both been rather positive. So even though the last number was negative, the odds of us having 2 consecutive quarters are pretty slim. And let me go back to our August number here so we can see. Yeah, right now the August preliminary number was at 3.3%, higher than expectation. So that's probably a really good thing for the argument of stagflation. So we've got what looks to be some positive GDP growth, which is great. You've got rising inflation and you have rising unemployment. So stagflation certainly could become an issue here going forward, Luis. And how severe that becomes or how intense it becomes is anybody's guess as good as mine. I don't know. I know it's a very difficult situation to get out of. And the market manipulation that will go on to make it happen, I think, is going to be pretty darn intense. But do they cut? Do they raise? Do they lower? I don't know. Right now, to me, based off this information, unless we get an atrocious PPI number tomorrow or maybe even a CPI number on Thursday, you will probably see a 25 basis point cut. I don't think we're going to get 2. Right now, there's a 6.2% chance of a 50 basis point cut. And to make Big Eb happy, because I think you said in our wager that it's going to be 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. Right now, the probability of 2 rate cuts is only 30%. They're already pricing in 61% probability of 3 rate cuts. So basically, one a month, one at every meeting. September 17th, October 29th, December 10th is what the markets are pricing in for rate cuts from the Fed, which means, damn it, I'm going to owe Big Eb another beer and full meal, I said this time. Full meal. Dang it. Well, I hope you like Taco Bell. Get you out. I'm going to get out of there for like $8. Big Eb says 900,000 job revisions since March 2024 to March 2025. Maybe that's why someone lost their job at Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's a pretty significant revision, right? Like that's a monstrous change. That's almost 1 million. Mike Rousseau says, do you think that there is more volatility coming in the market now? I bought Strangle Oracle 360 call and 350 put on the off chance of bigger than expected move. Well, overall in the market, I do expect to see more volatility. I think these markets are going to become really hypersensitive to tech and AI. So any announcement, any deal, any issues with tariffs or chips or that type of thing, I think gets really more volatile, right? Significantly more volatile. So I think that makes me a little bit nervous going forward. I do, not that it makes me nervous. Let me take that back. I'm not nervous about it, but I do expect there to be more volatility. Honestly, I love it. Bring more volatility to it. To me, I do better in volatile markets, especially because the premium becomes so rich, right? You get a lot more premium if you're an option seller, which is where I'm doing most of my stuff now. Mick says, at least you'll have a date. Thanks, bud. I don't play for that team. I know my pronouns. I know my pronouns. I believe when I see it, those are 3 opportunities of what if and market manipulation. Absolutely. We really, at this point, it's all speculation. We don't know exactly where things are going to go, but you got to go with the trend as your friend until the bend at the end. And while we did have a dip back in early August, there really hasn't been a dip in that S&P to make me go, uh-oh, we got some problems, right? It all seems pretty good right now. No problem, Tomasina. Have a good one. Let's see. Let me run through our top 8 here from the bottom. We finally have a little bit of a reprieve for the Russell, but a little bit of a reprieve for the Russell. Even though the trend is still looking fantastic, moving to the upside, I'm still bullish on the Russell overall as long as it doesn't break this really aggressive uptrend it's had since the beginning of August. Great series of higher highs, higher lows. So trend's your friend to the bend at the end. Keep on going. Looks good. Bitcoin, not a good story today. Right, at one point, we had closed above a level that I really wanted to get above. That was important. It was important to get above that 113,045. We wanted to get above that, have a close above that level. We didn't get it. We bounced above it and then came right back down and looking actually rather negative on the day, down 0.7%. Still at 111,695, but not good. It just can't seem to get the legs underneath it where it just keeps on moving. So Not a good sign there today for Bitcoin. Of course, I'm still in MSTR, which looks like real bad right now. I did point out yesterday you have these 3 long bottoming tails on it, which is great because that means the buying's coming back in at the end, which does show buying support, but it's catching a falling knife, right? That's an avalanche of price that started back here on July 16th. July 16th, we were up at $457 on MicroStrategy, and now we're at 328. So we're down almost $200 per share. Ouch! Brutal. All right, let's see. Gold. Does anybody recognize that little guy? This little one up here at the top? Could that be maybe a little shooting star there? Well, let me put a line right across the bottom. You guys know my rules on shooting stars. Totally up to you how you trade it. But right now, the bottom of today's candle on the futures for gold is 3,663.7. If we open up above that, which it looks like we will when you roll over to the new session, and then we start to break down, okay, that could be a great shorting opportunity for gold. Remember, you're going against one of the strongest trends in the market right now because since mid-August, gold has just been on fire. I do think that there's a possibility of a little bit of a correction here. I think it's a bit overdue based off what's been going on with gold. But to each their own. Again, there's your entry price, 3,663.7. Only if we open up above that level and start to drift lower. All right, dollar index. Yo, Dixie. We had that really ominous break yesterday, and it had me kind of, my eyebrow was raised for you. I was doing one of these. I do with my eyebrow raised? There we go. When I was looking at that chart, because that break on yesterday's activity, getting below 97.63, that suggested that we broke down below that area of demand. And that suggested that we are most likely going to head lower, and therefore we used the measuring object from the peak there. That brought us all the way down to 95. That would be great for the market, but nothing happened. Right? It was an about face. We erased almost all those declines from yesterday in short order. Today, a pretty good day for the dollar index, up 0.33%, closing at 97.76, back above that line. Almost to the podium. S&P just fourth place today. Let me get this volume off of here because I find it bothers my view and my charts. Not a lot to say here from a trend or pattern perspective other than it looks just like the NASDAQ. Trending higher. You have an all-time intraday closing high. Very close to an all-time intraday high as well, but no, just a closing high for today. Momentum looks good. Market looks good. I don't see any reason why this thing's going to start to sell off here, especially with the news that we have about tech. Really, tech being the catalyst. Podium time. Bronze medal goes to the NASDAQ, which you've already talked about at length. So NASDAQ looking okay. Still got a great uptrend going here. Crude oil. Still, this is funny because this is like the exact opposite of Bitcoin's price chart. Now, they're both selling off, but notice, 2 inside days. Totally boring. Totally boring. Look at the tails, though, on crude oil. This is the exact opposite of Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin looked like it was selling off, selling off. Hold on, let me make sure. No, I'm thinking MSTR. Yeah, there we go. Look at the bottoming tails on MicroStrategy. That's an actual positive sign because the buyers have forced it back up. It's 4 days in a row. It has not made a new low, which is great for MicroStrategy. But when I move on over to crude oil, notice the tails here. Different story. These are actually very bearish. Even though they're green candles, at some point during the last 2 days, crude oil was having a great rally. And on both days, it came crashing back down, ended right near the lows for the session. This is not good for crude oil, especially for those of you who are bullish on it. And of course, we know this can be changed at any time with an inventory number or an output from OPEC adjustment. Right now, I still think that yellow box holds, but the price chart to me leads me to believe we're going lower on crude oil just because the sellers keep coming in and pushing it lower. And that means that we're probably going to hit that $60.94 mark, which is $1.80 lower than current levels. And if it does keep on going, your bottom end of that zone is 59.74. That's your baseline there. And finally, we actually had a green candle. For 1 out of 5 days, a green candle on the 10-year yield was up over 1% today, 1.09% to be precise, but still 4.086 is the yield on that. Pretty low. I actually thought we were going to get down to that 4% mark before bouncing, but similar with a descending triangle pattern here as well, which is what we looked at earlier. So, all right, let's go out to our calendar so I can run through that, and then I'll get you on your way. Let me remove all these filters here, and we'll go back to today's calendar. That's back from August. We are on the 9th today. So from today's perspective, we really didn't have anything that was that unusual. There was better than expected numbers for the NFIB Small Business Index, which is part of the reason, Russell. Number 10, or for the 10th, this is where the fireworks will start. Okay, this is going to be a very, very powerful announcement. And again, I know that all expectations are we're going to come out at 0.3, but I can't believe that we go from 0.2 to 0.9 and then back to 0.3. Let me verify it's 0.2. No, we went from 0 to 0.9 and now we're going to go back to 0.3. That just seems a bit wild of price swings for me. So I'm of the mindset we're going to see this number a little bit higher than 0.3. Of course, at this moment, I'm pretty sure you have somebody on Capitol Hill. We won't mention names. We won't mention anyone's name here, but I'm pretty sure he really, really, really wants to see this number come out really, really, really low tomorrow. Lower than anyone has ever seen it. No one's ever seen a PPI this low. I think I think there might be some pressure on whoever's releasing this data to really make changes and make sure that this number stays at 0.3. Les says 0.5. I think that the real number will probably be like 0.5, and that's what scares me because I don't know to what extent these numbers are manipulated. Like, first off, was this just a manipulation joke to print 0.9 last month, right? That's a gigantic number. Big F says, yeah, I think that number is a total outlier. I am too. But how do you, I don't know, how do you let that slide? What was it that was so high? Yeah, Tofi says if they want to keep their jobs, they'll bring it out at 0.3. Because remember, I'm of the opinion, if this comes out anything like 0.5 or higher, I think that the rate cut is off. 0.5 or higher, I'd say the rate cut is off. Now, it certainly will depend on what the announcement is on Thursday for the CPI number as well. But if this number comes out elevated, notice if we're at 0.9, we come out at 0.5, I think that's going to be a piece where the Fed's like, well, hold on a second. We're going to wait one more month. Let's bet on a 50 basis point cut. You want to bet? Margaret, I'll take that bet. You think there's going to be a 50 basis point cut on the 17th? I'll take that bet all day long. It's not going to happen. If anything, it's 25 basis points. No. No way. Powell will cave. No, Powell doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. Look, he's done. He knows he's out next year, early next year, right? As soon as he's out, he'll go on a book signing tour and he'll go speak for Goldman Sachs and get paid $500,000 a day. I don't think he's going to cave. He's got no reason to. Remember, he hasn't caved yet. And I think if he would have caved, he would have already done it. I don't think 50 basis points would be a shock to the system. Again, I really do think it depends on what happens here with this PPI number. But again, fireworks tomorrow, guys. That's going to be 1 hour before the equity markets open. As far as other data for tomorrow, you do have quite a bit. You can see we've got crude oil inventories coming out. We know that one's just absolutely ridiculous. Whoever reports that one should be fired anyway. But it does create market volatility, and that could be all over the place for your Wednesday session. And lastly, let me go and bring up your earnings calendar here so we can just bring that stuff in and sprinkle that on. Most of the big stuff is already done. We obviously had Oracle. Tomorrow, you have BYD Motors and Chewy. Right, so BYD, we talked about them as cars. I do like them, but we don't get them in the States, so it doesn't matter to me. Absolutely not. Don says, absolutely not in the 50. I'll bet my whole account that Powell hasn't budged this whole time. Why do it now? Exactly. I think he just looks at Trump and laughs. I feel like this is soap opera between them. I bet you behind closed doors, they're just laughing like, oh, these people think we hate each other, and Powell's like, nah, don't worry about it, man. It's good. Just keep it up. It's fun. I do. I think it's just show. I think it's absolute show. Obviously, Trump wants to cut rates. We all know. Every president wants rates cut. Juice the markets. Make it go up. But the prudent thing to do is to not rush. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, you got to be proactive here. With the inflation that's unknown in front of us, I don't think you can be proactive. Don't look at Powell. Look at the voters as a whole. That's true. Remember, you do have some people, Margaret, that are dovish and some that are hawkish on that panel. So it'll be interesting to see what the shift in sentiment is. I just can't believe that any central banker would look at this number right here and go, oh yeah, that's fine. That 0.9 PPI, that's fine. This would be such a huge red flag for me if I'm on that board. right? Especially because we know that's one of our dual mandates. Unemployment's not looking great, but if inflation jumps to 0.9%, that is atrociously bad. Really, really, really bad. All right. I think that's going to do it for me. Got a 45-minute show today. All right. Don, I heard you want me to come on your show. I'm happy to come on anytime, man. Just message me or text me. Let me know. I'm going to probably be gone Thursday, Friday, so I'm not doing a show Thursday, Friday. I'm going to be on the I'm maybe going to Las Vegas. We'll see how that turns out. The government can't fix a problem that isn't there. It has to be present itself first. And this is where a lot of people disagree, Don, right? A lot of people think that at least the Fed needs to be proactive and see these things coming. And I keep arguing, rightfully or wrongfully so, that with all the uncertainty of tariffs and all that, price increases, like how long should we wait? Well, how long is an appropriate time to wait before we see the full impacts of all these tariffs? Which, of course, companies are paying, right? We've all heard that. Companies are paying the tariffs. No, they're not. You and I are paying the tariffs. I would like to see the turmoil if Besant was in and cut 3 points like he said he would do. Oh, man. I try to curb my profanity for you guys, but that would be a shit show. If all of a sudden they cut 75 basis points at one meeting, remember that signifies to you that there are really bad times ahead. Dakota Craft says, you think them cutting will help or hurt the prices of houses? Cutting should help the price of houses. Well, hold on. Let's do the domino effect here, right? The Fed cuts short-term interest rates because that's the only thing they can really control. In theory, the whole yield curve should start to shift slightly lower, which means that the 10-year yield would start to drop. If the 10-year yield started to drop, that means that more people would qualify for loans, right? If the 10-year yield goes from, let's say, 4.25 down to 3.75, that's a 50 basis point decline. That means that someone that was getting, let's say, a 6.5% loan can now get it at 6%. So if the 10-year drops that much, that means more people can qualify for housing. That means more people are going to buy housing. That means that house prices are most likely going to go up and move to the upside. So in that respect, cutting rates is actually good for increasing housing prices. For those of you who are homeowners, you're like, sure, cut rates. Let's juice that market higher, right? Create more buyers. Let's create more demand for real estate. So that's the long-winded answer to that one. Okay, hopefully I got that one answered for you, Dakota. Well, 300 basis points. Oh, he did propose 300 basis points. That's correct. So 300 basis points. Let's put this in perspective. Hold on. Let me bring up a chart here of the 17th so we can see what that would do. And when I said doing a 75 basis point cut earlier, which was 3 cuts, so Big Eb, let's correct that. Yeah, Big Eb's right. If it was 3 25 basis point cuts, shit show. Bad news. I mean, markets would be all over the place, especially if it was a surprise. If Besant came in and decided to cut 300 basis points, can you guys see? You all see this chart here? It would take us from 4.5 to 1.5. Now, this would be such a shock to the system, a colossal shock to the system. It would be so. Honestly, I don't know if I actually want to have positions open because I don't know what would happen if you cut that much, that dramatically. This market's going to go absolutely haywire. You're going to have some stuff that absolutely skyrockets right away, but I think the volatility, like if you look at beta is the measurement of the S&P 500, right? That's a value of 1. I think if you had something like that happen, you're probably talking for multiple weeks, like a beta of probably 3 or 4 or 5, just because everyone's going to try to figure out what the heck is going to happen here, right? 300 basis point cut is insane. Now, we've talked about interest rates before where you had Volcker, raise 300 basis points. I think Bill might have said it was 700. The Volcker era days are not part of my memory. But he did it for a very specific reason. The market was in a monstrous inflationary environment, and he had to do that. He had to do it to juice the market, to stop it. If you did 300 basis point cut, yeah, I think Oliver's right. He said the circuit breakers will be activated. Yeah, I think you'd have the circuit breakers activated today, tomorrow, the next day, and then all of a sudden they come crashing back down because people just would not know what to expect with that big of a cut. I mean, I think that for me, I'm trying to think back, like the worst I've seen, I think was 75 basis points. I've seen that multiple times. Have I seen a full 100 basis point cut? Or raise? I don't think I have. Yeah, these back here, these were pretty hefty ones, right? We went, when you look at, when you went back here into 2022, when we started really aggressively raising rates, went from 1% to 1.75 to 1, so we did 50 basis point cuts at a clip here. Was this one? Let's see. I think we go from March 2020, we did see 100. We went from 1.25% down to 25 basis points. So that was a 100 basis point cut, but that was back in March of 2020. Other than that, I really don't recall seeing declines like that. Of course, now that I say that, this was 75 basis points. So, Merlin, team a comment about Bessent's statement. I did not. Merlin, Bessent said the neutral rate was 300 basis points lower. Not that he wanted to cut by that. He clarified after a statement. Okay, good. Yeah, because that would be chaos. Now, to be fair, would you argue that that's the neutral rate? I mean, we could go back here and look at the Fed funds rate. He's saying that right here where my cursor is would be the neutral rate. I don't think he's wrong. I really don't. And that's going back to year 2000, right? Going all the way back to 2000. Sure. It actually, to be honest, it almost feels a little bit too high. I feel like it could go lower. If you look at the propensity of candles here from January of 2009, we were effectively zero. And that went all the way through 2015. So that's a lot of time, way below 3. So I definitely see the logic in his statement, but in order to get there, we got to do it in 25 basis point increments, right? Unless this market is in such peril and problems, there's no need to jump 50 basis points at a clip. I was upset about that last year as well, but anyway. Cool. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys. I want to wrap up here. I got things to do. I hope you all enjoyed today's show. I will do tomorrow will be my last show for the week because I'm going to be gone. So if you guys have something you want me to discuss on tomorrow's show, just email me, send them in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com or put your comments down below any of the YouTube videos. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody.